partnerships between government, between industry, between community, county governments. Remember, county governments and national government is one and the same thing, or county becomes community, or it is in between. Okay, I guess these are questions that we are going to be answering. First panelist, according just to the list, the way I've read them, we've got Bernice from Kenya Pipeline. And so the issues, Bernice, that we want to ask, and of course everybody will also make a comment, is that are issues to do with being a liaison, not a liaison as such, but kind of the position that you occupy is a liaison one that between the company that you're working for, which is the foundation, and Kenya Pipeline. So Kenya Pipeline is communication with the communities because we have got what we call the right of way in Kenya Pipeline. The pipeline passes through communities, and so your role as the manager in charge of that foundation, could you just kind of tell us your experience in terms of setting up community engagement, community partnerships, so forth and so on, with regard to sensitizing them in view of today's topic, which is health, safety, and environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Just to give you a bit of background of the foundation. So, because people kept asking me, what is the foundation? So basically, foundation is the arm that is mandated by the company to execute corporate social investment, or what used to be called corporate social responsibility. So in other words, is the philanthropic or the charitable arm of the company. So based on what Prof is asking, we realized that as a company, we needed to have a social license to operate. That we cannot just think about the pipeline without thinking about the people. So we have a relationship with the community where the pipeline passes. So that is our base where we stand. So in terms of our operations, our pipeline affects the people directly because it passes through people's land. So for 40 years as a company, we've not had a department that really deals with the people. So that informed the formation of the foundation. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. So in terms of what we do, our operations are basically, it's like community engagements. So, and then it has a budget. So as a company, we have a moral responsibility to give back socially and in terms of environment. So we give 1% of our budget towards corporate social investment or responsibility, as you wish to call it. So, and this is given to the communities through, community engagement. So we go to the communities and we develop a relationship. So we have quarterly community engagement forums where we interact with the community and talk to them about our operations as a company and how we interface. So one of the things that we talk to them about is like, for example, issues of safety along the pipeline. And how can we be co-partners? So from those meetings, we get to understand that they also have needs. We appreciate the fact that as a company, we are not government as in to our problems. I mean, as much as we have a budget, that's what I want to say, it's not our responsibility to entirely take the burden of the community, but we have a responsibility to give back something small. So we ask them to come up with programs that are community driven and will have a shared value for the company and for the community. So Prof, through that then we have the role of CSR. We explain to them that development can be interrupted, that this is a pipeline and anything can happen to you as a community. So from that, we develop interventions that are meaningful to the community. So they send proposals to us as a company, and then we get to fund them based on that.
Thank you very much, Bernice. We can now go to Mr. David Ekiru, just also to, I hope we can. Just for him, at least from the point of view of the professional association in Turkana, basically what does he see his role as trying to sort of initiate some of this conversation between the community and the stakeholders, particularly with regard, of course, to the natural resource exploitation in that particular environment.
Thank you very much. Professor Ngila?
Yes.
And thank you for Bourassa for inviting me to this forum. I think we've been engaging very well since the first session, the first Bourassa. Turkana Professionals Association is an association of members from Turkana community worldwide. It's not specific to Turkana County. And we have chapters in various places, including UK, US, Canada, Australia. And one of the things that we do is advocacy work, community engagement, community sensitization, civic education on issues that touch on the community, wherever they are. For instance, I'll give an example. The recent issues in Isiolo, we were right in the middle of it, trying to mitigate against the operations that were taking place. Back home, when the announcement was made that finally oil has been found in Turkana, we started engaging with the government and with tallow oil, the IOC. And one of the things that we started engaging about is issues of managing expectation. You know very well when a resource is found in a place, when a resource is discovered, there is heightened expectation. One of the things that happened, and you may have read in the press, is that women and the elderly and the young people went to the site, Ngamia went with jerry cans, saying, we want our oil, our share of the oil. And, you know, we had to deal with that. Amongst us, our professionals, there's some who are in the civil society organizations, like the Natural Resource Hub, other organizations, FAULT, and other CBOs. So we deal with community issues, health and safety issues, issues of dumping. We have engaged with NEMA, we've engaged with the national government, we've engaged with the county government, and our role is basically to bring people to discuss how do we deal with these issues now that they have arisen. How do you deal with the issue of the early oil pilot scheme? How do we deal with we were involved in the formulation, in the discussion and formulation of the petroleum bill and the mining bill. As a matter of fact, I was one of those people who sat in the mining bill from inception up to the time it was enacted. And therefore we have a lot of input as professionals from Turkana into some of these issues. Interface between the professionals and community, yes, we are part of the community and therefore we understand the issues that are arising. And in a way we explain some of the salient issues that are never explained by anybody. Chief will tell you there are people who go to her at night, oh, my child is having diarrhea because the truck passed by and the dust was blown, or because of the water from the borehole that Tallow has drilled, or Tallow has switched off the water. We get to engage with behind the scenes with all these organizations in trying to resolve the issues with the community and the oil operator. However, what we have not had a lot of impact on is on the government. You know, the government is a government. And initially when the operation started, we had drafted a terms of engagement, a memorandum to say, these are our rights, these are our responsibilities, this is government responsibility and the rights and the right of and responsibility of the operator. Can we get to a middle ground? and agree on how we shall operate within this space. It took the community, the professionals, to call for a meeting of all the leadership, elected leadership and the community leadership, the government and the operator, to sit down and discuss for 3 days in Lodwar. How do we manage expectation? How do we operate in the space that we've been provided by government? What does the license say? And as you know, up to now, tallow oil, or the government of Kenya, is operating or extracting this oil illegally. There is no law. The lawyers in the room will tell us. There is no law anchoring the operations of oil operations. The law that was in place was the 1986 Act, which has been superseded by the current constitution. And therefore, what we are saying as professionals, one of the demands that we've put on the table to the presidency and the government is enact a law. Yeah? Even the early oil pilot scheme, that is, I just saw a document being circulated in social media that now the operation is, has been agreed on between the government and tallow oil. And we are asking, where is the community in all this? So what we are saying is, put the law in place. Turkanas are people who obey and respect the law.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Of course, hold that thought, because we are going to now, after we go through the everyone, we are now going to, invite participation from the audience, so that you can be able to give us a take on the kind of issues that we are discussing. So we can now call upon Mr. Huma Kasel also, in light of this very exciting company that you are working for, or should I say you have formed, which is Tribe 360. Please. Oh. In relation, of course, with trying to engage the community, the government, everybody on the table.
Thank you very much, Dr. My name is Huma Kasel, co-founded Tribe 360, and Tribe 360 was built on the knowledge, or on the backdrop of looking at the value chain of extractives and the relationships therein. We realized that we operate, especially in the country, with fragmented laws. Laws that deal with extractives are in different legislation or acts. Like mining is not the same as geothermal, is not the same as oil and gas, it's not the same as. So we understood that we don't, as my able colleague said, we don't have a law that encompasses everything else. Then we looked at the relationship that people have, government, the community, and commercial partners, and CSOs, and we realized that all the relationships that are there are transactional. It is give me this, I give you that. If you give me land to do this, I'll build for you a school, or I'll give you work, or I'll give you, and that does not encourage development of an industry in an objective way. The other backdrop, the other reason which inspired for us forming this company is our work in Turkana. The experience in Turkana informs the value of human life, because in Turkana and in the communities up north, there's no single person who controls. There's no single gatekeeper. A young boy can stop operations as the same way that the governor or the president can stop operations. So we realize that in an area where every single person has a right to stop or to determine whether operations continue or not, we need to form a framework in which people can operate within, assure the commercial partners of social license to operate, secure community rights, and enhance benefits that accrue to the communities which are impacted by dint of the operations being there. That's why we founded this company. And What the company does is we approach, normally a consultant will approach the commercial partner to give them a contract to do community engagement or whatever. For us, our approach is we approach the community and ask the community what their needs are. We understand the community, how their structures are, their norms, their value system, their expectations, their knowledge of the land and their knowledge of the operations. Then from there, we design solutions that now guide conversations within oil and gas.
Thank you very much. That sounds very exciting. I'm sure we are going to have more engagement on that. And so may I now call upon Mr. Omondi to give us a perspective in terms of what does he think that would sort of approach that we can use to bring all the partners together on the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this great forum. For me, I talk more on the side of communities. Communities tend to be not allowed to ask for what is supposed to be theirs. And for me, I have the opinion that, and in all the projects that I have participated in, I encourage communities to stand up. I encourage communities, if you have a right to, if you've been promised jobs, if there's anybody starting a project in your area, please stand up for your right. That is what the Constitution says. Stand up for your right. Ask for jobs. Ask for what was promised in the EIA. Ask for... The chief was very, very diplomatic because he is the chief. But Turkana is only represented in national employment. So let's call a spade a spade. Turkana should ask for their right for employment in petroleum, whether they have technical know-how or not. Because, and my challenge with a lot of this discourse, and probably that's the reason why somebody asked the issue of honesty behind there, is that, honestly, you don't come to my home, and this I'm paraphrasing an old man in Turkana in 2011, it's never gotten out of my head. You don't come to my home without asking me to come looking for something I don't know, then start passing with your trucks, no saying hi on a daily basis, and expect me to be your friend. It's not possible. So, and EHS, the biggest challenge with EHS is that. The three, I had the honor of listening to the three panels that were there in the last, the three panel sessions that were there. EHS has no community perspective. The law does not allow EHS to deal with community-specific issues. 3/4 of our projects say we are IFC compliant. IFC PS5 says community health and safety. So, and EHS has no community angle to it. So let's be honest also. Communities have a right to ask for their right to health, right to employment, right to clean air, right to jobs, right to kukusimamisha, as he says. That small boy, akiweka twig kwa barabara, and you pass, he has a right to stop you, even violently.
Thank you, Joe. That sounds very exciting indeed. Now we can call upon Dr. Chumo so that he can give us the perspective of Environmental Compliance Committee. What do they do, and how do they come on board in terms of putting all partners together in the name of the project on resource management? And
thank you so much, Professor Ngila. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the organizers for getting an opportunity for all of us here to discuss and to have a serious conversation on issues to do with the environment, health, and safety. My name, as you have been told, is Dr. John Kipkorir Chumo. I'm the Secretary to the National Environmental Complaints Committee. National Environmental Complaints Committee is a government agency for all of us who understands the MCA Act of 1999. There is a creation of 4 institutions, and those 4 institutions are, one is NEMA, which all of us here have been hearing, talking about NEMA, and others. So NEMA, and then we have what we call NEDFund, and then we have National Environmental Tribunal, and then we have what we call National Environmental Complaints Committee. In the past, it used to be called Public Complaints Committee, being created under the MCA Act from Section 31 to 36. And I want to say this, that National Environmental Complaints Committee is actually the environmental ombudsman. It is actually the advocate of the most of you who are seated here. Whenever there is an issue that has been raised concerning environmental degradation, when an environment has been polluted, when an environment has been abused, the people you run to is National Environmental Complaints Committee when the other institutions who are supposed to take care of the environment are failed. So our role is to do investigations, to listen to the complaints, and to also investigate them, and also investigate NEMA, which is the authority. That's what the law says. That whenever they are given work to do, if, for example, an EIA has been done and it is not proper, it has issues, then you come to us as National Environment Complaints Committee, we can do the investigations, and then after that, we take the report to the Minister in charge of Environment and Forestry for purposes of ensuring that compliance is met. The other thing is that the law also gives us power to take the polluter of the environment to court through what we call public interest litigation. So what we are actually saying is that this National Environmental Complaints Committee has been there since 2003, since NEMA came on board and others. And our issues that we have actually been able to find out are issues to do with pollution of water, solid waste management, issues of forest degradation, issues of public health, and issues of land use. And I think discussing this issue today, especially when we are talking about the issue of environment, health, and safety, these are the issues we get every day in terms of complaints. I think we have had issues with some of those extractive industries, like, for example, this coal mining around the country, where, for example, people use very bad chemicals, like, for example, arsenite or mercury or lead to do the extraction, and they end up actually harming the people. So when we get those kind of complaints, we take them to the minister in charge, and we can also take the polluter to court. And I think now going to Turkana, we are now going again, we have even started now receiving complaints on issues to do with the extraction, and issues to do with, for example, possible pollution of water sources, for example, and other leakages that may actually arise. And I think as National Environment Complaints Committee, we are going to be more around, for example, in Turkana, because of these kind of issues.
Thank you, Dr. Chuma. Really appreciate that. In fact, for the first time, we can hear that we have got a voice. Our communities have got voices, because you can walk to his office and complain, and before we didn't know where to go, so now we know somewhere where to go. Now, for this round of introduction and, of course, brief comments on what each one of the panelists does, now we have reached a level where we can now interact with delegates. I would like to collect about 5 questions, and then we see during the conversation how time goes, and see whether we can do another list of questions.
PCC, Public Committee. You know, before devolution, nilikuwa kwa DEC, District Environment Committee, Malindi, which was ranked the best in Kenya, 2 terms. And from the community perspective, I was representing the community kwa DEC. Now, we've written so many complaints to your office. I don't know whether you are there or not there, but the response zinakuwa delayed sana. Swali ni kwamba nataka kujua how fast tukiandika hizo complaints to you mnaweza kuzijibu, kwa sababu tunajua kuzembea kwa serikali yetu, departments fulani. Nitakupa mfano hai. Kunaweza kuingia majambazi kwa duka fulani na community wakajulisha, lakini wakachukua masaa mawili ama matatu kufika pale. Lakini ilitokea incident whereby an Italian woman alikuwa hitted na kondoo, tuko barabara tukiwa hapo. Alienda polisi bio kukuja, yani it didn't take even 5 minutes. Land Rover nzima imefika.
Tumeelewa. Asante sana Salim.
Tunashukuru
sana. There was at that table, yes?
This is Sogoma Washington from Kisumu County.
Okay.
Yeah, my first question goes to Dr. Chumo. I would like to know his perspective when it comes to the EIS. How does he come in? Because most of the issues that we are having are starting from that particular place. Then number two, how do you roll down your services to the community down there?
Thank you very much. That was short and nice. All right.
I think we should not be advocating for violence whenever we have issues or complaints that we need addressed. We need to look at the established channels to be able to get those issues resolved. And let's be very careful, the kind of animosity that, a language or a particular speak can fan with respect to communities.
Community here, in this context, is the local community that operates that lives within the operation area. Because Dr. Melba will agree, in the first Bourassa we had definition of community. We have the local community, we have the local community, and then we have the community. There is local, which is around the oil well.
3 locals, yeah.
Then we have the local, which is in the either sub-county.
Okay.
Then the local, which is the county community,
I see.
the Turkana.
Okay.
So I think that defines what community is. Our input and our impact. Our input is to do advocacy work, civic education, civic engagement, community engagement, government, and the oil operator engagement. And we cut across issues that affect both there are times that we look at what the community is demanding and we say, look, let's dialogue about this. Is it tenable? Is it reasonable? Isn't this the responsibility of government? For instance, when the community asks for Talo to build a road, it's not Talo's responsibility, it's the government. So we direct the government. When the community said we needed power in Lokichar, we called the PS then, and he made promises and commitment to make sure that the grid from Takwel gets to Lokichar, where the oil operation is. It took 4 years to get there, but we never stopped to engage. So our impact, we have our association branch in Lokichar,
Okay.
Turkana County, Turkana South Professional Association, which engages on a daily basis. And from the national level, we get feedback and we also give them feedback.
Thank you very much, David.
The second
Madam
question
Chief.
was, how
Okay.
often do we engage with investors to protect
Okay.
the community or against hazardous operation? There was, last year, hazardous waste was dumped at an unlicensed site. Now, this information got to us at as TPA. We went to the site, we engaged with Talo. Now, what Talo did was contract a third party to manage waste management. Now, there was, between NEMA and Talo and the county government, there was no coordination on how this was going to be managed. And therefore, this contractor just went, found a field and dumped, without knowing that that's our grazing land, that's our water point, those are our, shrines, and so on. And we were able to bring this to the attention of the national government and NEMA. And there is some work going on. There is identification of a site that the county government has provided, and they're working with the national government and NEMA to gazette that area and to, like quarantine that area so that a dumping site can be created and so that animals do not go and graze there.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. I think the next set of questions, it was a half question for Tribe 360. The question was, is it international or is it just local? You could respond to that before I go to the National Environmental Complaints Committee.
Tribe 360 ni kampuni ambayo iko registered hapa kwa sababu zile shida ambazo ziko ni shida zetu sisi wenyewe. Na ningependa kuongelelea mada kuliko kuongelelea hiyo kampuni yenyewe. Na mambo kuongelea mada ya enhancing partnership between community, industry and government. Kwa the earlier session walisema EHS it's company driven, but safety is a universal concept. Now the question becomes, how do you then communicate EHS as a standard to the communities to make sure that they are protected? Now, kwa ile kazi ambayo tumekuwa tukifanya, kuna uwezekano ya kwamba kuna a lot of knowledge gap kutoka kwa industry kwenda kwa community. Yeah. Na ukiangalia hizi community zile ambazo tunaongelelea, na nitakupatia example, communicating is not the same way you communicate hapa, si the same way una communicate na indigenous na communities ambazo hizi resources ziko huko ndani. Na hiyo ndio mojawapo changamoto ambazo makampuni ziko nazo when communicating about EHS or creating awareness or defining solutions that the community will then follow up on.
Thank you, Mr. Kaseo, but I've got a half question for you. So who funds you? Where do you get your money? Because it looks like we are doing community service, where you go to the community to assist with their projects and so forth and so on. But then how do you get money out of that kind of work?
No, our approach is very simple. We design solutions for the industry.
And you look for partnerships.
And we look for partnerships. Okay. I'll give you an example of one program that I'm doing. We're doing in Turkana. So there is the issue of benefit sharing. How do you give the community benefit that de-risks your operations from the dynamics that the implementation of that project?
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the normal thing that is usually done is we have a CSR department, or like KPC did, we form a foundation.
I see.
But then the problem with that, we found out, is that there's no ownership, because shule ni yako.
Okay.
Umetengeneza shule ni yako. Kama kuna oil spill, hiyo ni yako. If the community, if a child runs into an oil field, or let's say for example in Turkana, there's this, ukienda Turkana sahi manyata zimefunikwa na DLP, karatasi, ambayo inatumiwa iko na chemicals ambayo inatumiwa ndani ya well site. How do you sensitize the community itself to know that this is not right material for whatever?
Thank you.
Partnerships with community, with the commercial partners, because the solutions are for them. Assures them social license to operate.
Thank you very much. Definitely, from what I've just heard now, it is very clear that you're actually transacting on behalf of the industry, but with a lot of interest in the communities. Thank you very much. Now, the last set of questions I think were directed towards Dr. Chumo. It is to do with, is this just a rubber stamp? Is it just a neck standing for the National Environmental Complaints Committee? Is it just the name? Do you have teeth? Or you are just there to be paid salary? Can you answer that?
Thank you so much. I think that is very important, and I think I'm happy that the Kenyans are concerned, because actually that's their taxpayer, they are the taxpayers. Within the law, as I've said, that if some of you today would be able to even interrogate the MCA Act and look at the law between the section 31 to 36. And I want to say this, that we are not a PR exercise agency, but we have teeth, because one is that we can be able to take one to court, and we can actually pin somebody to ensure, an institution to ensure that correction is actually done. So I think to me, we have done it before, and I think we are able to do it even in future.
And how quickly do you respond when?
So the other thing is about how fast it is. Our charter is very clear that as soon as we receive the complaint, we shall be able to respond accordingly. But the report will be out within 1 month, so that people can be able to, the issues can be addressed. Because I won't tell you that, you are talking about investigation. You can't get a complaint today, and then within a week, you have answers. But within 1 month, we shall be able to get all the things that are required. And we have done that. And the only thing now is that once we have actually given the report, it's actually another institution that is supposed to implement. But in all what we do, once that institution doesn't even implement, we come in through what we call public interest litigation and take the person to court or the institution to court. The other thing is about how feasible are we on the ground. One is that if you look at the law, it only created us at the national level. But we are now working on it to ensure that we come to with respect to the devolution, that every county we shall be able to have an officer. But at the moment, we are using the ombudsman. We are using the office of the ombudsman at the county, and also at the Huduma Center, and also the office of EACC, Ethics and the Corruption Commission. But moving forward, soon we shall be able to have officers at the ground. But I want to say this, that I want to give you a number, which is actually called the hotline.
Yeah, let's take down the number.
The number is 0722
0722
510
510
510.
510. That is easy to remember.
510 510.
So 722 510 510 510 510.
Yes.
722, you can't forget that one. Now, thank you so much, my panelists.